it's time to listen to our chief guest. Today we have with us Professor Bharat Dehia, who is a global sustainability leader, professional keynote speaker, urbanist, planner, geographer, futurist, educator, team leader, and mentor. He is a director, Research Center for Sustainable Development and Innovation at the School of Global Studies, Thammasat University, Bangkok, Thailand. He is extraordinary professor at the School of Public Leadership, Stellenbosch University, South Africa, and a distinguished professor at Urban Youth Academy, Seoul, Republic of Korea. He is also a founding board member of the World Smart Cities Economic Development Commission under the World Business Angels Investment Forum based in Miami, USA. Professor Dahia holds a PhD in urban governance, planning, and environment from the University of Cambridge, United Kingdom. An award-winning urbanist, Professor Dahia combines research, policy analysis, and development practice aimed at examining and tackling socio-economic, cultural, environmental, and governance issues in the global context of sustainable development defined by the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, the Paris Agreement, and the New Urban Agenda. GCPIT is proud to have him as our chief guest for today. Let me invite Dr. Bharat Dahia for his address. Over to you.
Thank you, Aparna. Thank you for that generous introduction. It was wonderful to listen to Wendy's wonderful keynote. Dear colleagues and friends, greetings from Thammasat University in Bangkok, Thailand. First of all, I would like to congratulate Global Council for the Promotion of International Trade for organizing the Global Sustainable Development Summit 2021. Second, I would like to thank the organizers for this kind invitation to act as the chief guest for this session on SDG 11. The title of my talk today is Cities and SDGs Arenas of Opportunity for MSMEs. In 2020, the world urban population stood at 4.38 billion, which is projected to grow to 5.17 billion in 2030. This will be an increase of 788 million over the decade. To understand it better, the global urban population will grow by 79 million per year, 6.5 million per month, and 219,000 per day. Most of this urban growth will be concentrated in three developing regions of Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Further, this demographic growth will take place in small and medium-sized cities. We also need to emphasize the importance of economic contribution of cities and the multifarious challenges they pose. Cities produce 70% of the global GDP, but they also account for over 60% of global energy consumption. They produce 70% of global waste, and they generate 70% of global greenhouse gas emissions. All these are remarkable statistics indeed. With this background, let me say that at the outset, that on one hand, micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, or MSMEs, are central to achieving SDG 11, which aims to make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. On the other hand, cities and SDGs are an arena of opportunities for MSMEs. And in this brief talk, I would like to support this notion by sharing with you three examples from three different parts of the world that are related to three different targets under SDG 11. Our first story comes from Mongolia. It was around 20th of September 2003. I was visiting Ulaanbaatar, the capital city of Mongolia. I was on an official mission from the World Bank headquarters in Washington, D.C., to support the government of Mongolia to design a project on community-led infrastructure development. One night, suddenly I was woken up by a loud noise as if some people were shouting at or fighting with each other. I went to the window to check what was going on. I didn't see any signs of a trouble. In fact, there was no trouble. Some people standing next to several vans were making loud noises. I observed for a few minutes but didn't quite understand what was going on. I had recently arrived in the country and didn't know the Mongolian language. Next morning, I inquired from the hotel and learned that the people who seemed to be shouting were van drivers. They were calling for passengers for the various parts of the city they served with their privately owned medium sized vehicles. When I did some research, I found that there was neither a particular timetable that the drivers followed, nor was there any system that regulated their transport operations. They were private vehicle owners who were providing transport services for the simple reason that the public transport system did not serve certain parts of the city. As we know, SDG 11 Target 11.2 aims by 2030 to provide access to safe, affordable, accessible, and sustainable transportation systems for all, improving road safety, notably expanding public transport with special attention to the needs of those in vulnerable situations like women, children, persons with disability, and older persons. The emphasis on safe public transport comes because in certain countries, informal sector transport operators have poor safety record. If we look at the data on this S target published in the latest SDG report, it shows that only half of the world's urban population have convenient access to public transport. That's the data for 2019. Now, what is convenient access? Convenient access means people residing within 500 meters of walking distance of a bus stop or a low capacity transport system, or 1,000 meters of a railway or ferry terminal. If this is the average, then in some areas the convenient access to public transport must be much lesser than 50%. And this provides an opportunity for MSMEs to explore a new frontier. Of course, this will require understanding the demand for transportation services in cities, which could be done in cooperation with urban local governments. And then MSMEs could come up with innovative solutions for providing transport services to underserved or unserved urban areas. Let me now turn to the second example. According to the latest statistics from the UN, there were 1 billion slum dwellers living in cities across the world in 2018. This equals 24% of global urban population. The target 11.16 by 2030 to ensure access for all to adequate, safe, affordable housing and basic services and upgrade slums. To tackle this challenge, governments in different countries have relied on two main solutions. First, public sector produces housing for the urban poor. Second, the public sector engages the private sector contractors to produce low income housing. However, a careful look shows us that in fact a vast majority of housing in informal settlements is produced by local residents themselves. Based on this new reality, a newer model of technical and financial support has emerged that supports the urban poor residents to produce their own housing. In some countries, community led movements are so strong that the urban poor communities learn from each other and help each other to produce their housing. This is very much the condition in Thailand. According to one survey, Thailand had 6,300 urban poor communities with 1.6 million low income families. Under the Ban Mangkong or Secure Housing Program of the Government of Thailand, urban poor communities are provided community infrastructure grants and low interest housing loans. To be able to build their houses, the community organizations in different informal settlements cooperate and collaborate with each other. The activities on which such inter-community cooperation and collaboration occurs are land pooling, replanning the neighborhood layout, and construction of community infrastructure and individual houses. Community architects help the residents to design or redesign their new houses. Masons from one community help other masons with cheaper and innovative building practices. As the urban poor communities have little supply of finances, whether their own savings or low interest loans from the government, what becomes most important in the process is the sourcing and procurement of building material. Guess who supplies affordable building material? In Thailand, urban poor communities conduct search for suppliers that provide building material at competitive prices. It is the MSMEs that are in the business of sourcing and supplying cheaper building material to these communities. If this can be done in Thailand, it can be done elsewhere. I feel that MSMEs can purposefully develop new business models to target and serve this market. This will not only support achieving the target 11.1, but it will also provide employment to countless number of people. Our third illustration comes from India. SDG 11 target 11.6 aims to reduce by 2030 the adverse per capita environmental impact of cities, including by paying special attention to air quality and municipal and other waste management. The Global SDG report of 2019 informed us that 2 billion people in cities across the world did not have access to waste collection services. The reason for this are many. Most often cited reasons are low rates of municipal or property tax, poor tax collection, and therefore scant municipal revenues. This puts urban local governments in poor fiscal condition so that they are able to make only little capital investments in their solid waste management systems, if at all. Coupled with this is the poor technical and administrative capacity of municipal governments, due to which they are unable to find other options to fulfill their mandatory function of regular, if not daily, waste collection. The consequence is that solid waste remains uncollected in large parts of urban centers. In other words, waste is collected only once or twice a week when municipality can send the waste collection staff and vehicles. In worst cases, waste is not collected at all in some areas. I found this to be the case in Chennai metropolitan region in South India when I conducted my fieldwork for PhD. Large parts of Chennai city, as well as smaller peri-urban municipalities and town panchayats, remained unserved by waste collection services. Similar conditions are found in cities in many other developing countries. What is the result of all this in urban centers? Large amounts of stinking piles of waste, which become breeding grounds for mosquitoes, vectors, and bacteria. What is worse is that such uncollected waste gets accumulated in drainage systems. Come the rainy season, and either you have dengue epidemic or prolonged flooding, or both until the drainage systems are unclogged. This provides an opportunity for MSMEs to come in and start providing new business solutions to a perennial problem in urban environmental management. As the scope of urban governance widens, municipalities start to build public private partnerships for service provision. In small and medium sized towns, this work could be handled effectively by MSMEs. Considering these three examples, we see that there is tremendous scope for MSMEs to develop innovative and creative solutions in order to contribute to improving urban livability around the world. This will not only benefit the MSMEs, but also support the public sector. People living in cities will benefit from new employment opportunities and improved housing and other urban services. Better provision of urban environmental services will help us tackle climate change. And all of this will contribute to achieving SDG 11 and much more. Therefore, I welcome MSMEs to explore cities and SDGs as arenas of opportunity. With this brief submission, I thank you all for your kind attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bharat, for joining and giving us that very powerful session. And thank you so much for inspiring us and trusting GCPAD and supporting us in this summit. With this, we have come to the end of our opening session, and we'll be back after a short break with 4 more powerful speakers to talk on SDG 11. See you after the break.